Okay, I've been looking for some videos on a 5500 Chevrolet Kodiak to do the brake change with rotor and calipers. And everything I've found has not been any good. I mean, either they're giving out wrong information or not enough information and just showing you, hey, I changed this part, and they don't actually show you the process. So I'm actually going to try to see if I can do it today and make a better video than some of these other ones. Anyway, I want to show you all the tools that you're going to need. And this is just some of them. I'm sure I'll find some more along the way. I've already done one side, so hopefully this should go pretty easy. I'll go through these tools as we go and kind of tell you what they are and all the parts. I will say that this job is definitely not for the faint of heart. It has been an absolute nightmare. Number one, not just doing the job itself, but actually finding the parts. One part store will have something, another part store will have something else. Regardless, it's pretty hard to get this job done. So, you know, you've been thoroughly warned. Anyway, all right, so let's get to it. All right, first thing you want to do is jack up the truck. I got two jack stands under here, or jacks under here, to make it a little safer. And then you definitely want to go ahead and chalk the front there. All right, obviously the first thing we need to do is get these lug nuts off. Some people have been saying like a metric number, but I found 1 inch and 3/16 works pretty good. So let's get to it. All right, there is a good chance you're going to see butt crack in this video, but that's just the chance you take when you watch some of my videos. So let's get to it. All right, the next thing we're going to work on is the caliper. We got to get that off, and we need to get this axle shaft out. On the caliper, they have a couple different ways that they've done this. On my other side, I had a bolt. This side, I have this set up here. And on the new one, I actually have this same kind of setup with the slide pin and everything, but it has a an Allen wrench on there. So this one doesn't. I can feel on the backside. It's just needs a 5/8. So let's go ahead and get this off. I'm going to try not to cut too much on this. The problem is, believe me, I'm struggling on this thing, and it's a pain to get done. So if I'm breaking bolts or something and it's just taking too long, I'll cut it. I'll also try to speed up sections, you know, for time. It will look like you're going to hit this leaf spring, but don't worry. As long as you just get it out of the bracket, it should come loose. And then we want to go ahead and loosen the line for the brake fluid. In my little bucket here, it's also 5/8. It's a banjo setup. I'm not worried about losing this because I'm going to have to bleed the whole system. I will also say that I don't have the computer to bleed it with, so I'm going to try to do the manual version of it and see if that works. I will let you know. Just setting that up there to get it out of the way. Put this bolt back in here so I don't forget where I had it. Okay. I was kind of saying I wouldn't cut away, but I swear, if y'all watch me struggle on this thing, I mean, it's not going to make for good video content. So anyway, this piece here was back in behind here. And so I had to pry it past this lip here and bring it out. And then I was finally able to get this thing to pry out. It's not easy. This whole thing here has been rough to get out. So we'll have to see how we'll get the new one in. Yep, definitely a pain in the butt. All right, so definitely see that, you know, these were getting wore out. This rotor is not as bad as the other side. The other side was actually chewed up because it was metal on metal. But what really caused us to start this whole thing was we were leaking, and you know, we haven't had this 5500 that long, but I mean, you can obviously tell this thing has seen its better days on the brakes. So I'm definitely gonna have to go through and just check everything. Yeah, not too bad. I'm gonna get all these clips off. I got new ones in the kit. Actually, got new ones in the caliper and new ones in the disc pad kit. All right, let's get this all out of the way. All right, now time for the axle shaft here. These are 3/4 inch, and you know, obviously before you park your vehicle, make sure you got enough room to pull this axle shaft out. If not, you're gonna have a bad day. And have a good place to put all this hardware. You're gonna have washers. You're gonna have cone spacers. And the cone spacers are down inside there, so you can't really get to them without taking this off first. All right, so what you need is a hammer, big hammer, and it only takes one hit. Yeah, only takes one hit. Just one hit. One well-placed hit. Okay, so the only thing I've been able to really do is just kind of hit it on the back, bring it out a little bit, and get a set of pliers on these and kind of back them off a little bit. These cone spacers. And then when they come out far enough, get a screwdriver behind them, pull them out. If somebody knows a better way to do it than this, let me know. I mean, I don't even think I had this much trouble on the other side. I had a whole list of other troubles on that side. They have a split, but you can't get hardly anything into them. Also, I'm seeing that looks like there's some RTV in here. There's some rubber gasket, so I'm sure that's not making it easy. Alright, looks like we're empty. This gasket was gonna last long anyway, so we'll clean all that off. Alright, what we have on here is a ratcheting nut, and it's 3 1/4 inches. I bought a socket specifically for it. I hate having to buy a one-time thing, but it wasn't too expensive on Amazon. I'll leave a link on that as well. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to clean up all this. Get this off first. And then we can pull this hub off. It's not going to be hard. It should have barely any foot-pounds on it. When this comes off, you'll see there's a groove right here, and that goes into this groove right here when you go to put it back on. So you just remember that for later. All right, we definitely want to make sure that we don't mar this thing up as we pull it off. Last thing you want to do is have to get somebody out here to change the spindle or change it yourself. Sounds good. Now this spindle is going to be heavy as hell. Like I said, try not to let it drag. I say that, then I pretty much try to drag it around myself. Still looking good. Now we got the tone ring here for the ABS. We need to get that out. I bought this from Icon at Harbor Freight. It is a bearing and seal cedar. So this is gives you a good place to put this on the seal that's down inside here. It doesn't take much to get this out. Usually I probably wouldn't push that hard against the seal, but I'm replacing it. And like I said, really doesn't take that much to get this tone ring out. And then I just got a regular puller here. You can also buy these from Harbor Freight. Tell you what, let me get a socket here. Just need something that is a spacer in here. I forgot what I did last time. Usually I would set that up better, but like I said, it really didn't require that a lot of force to get that off. Now comes to the fun part. And now you're saying, whoa, wait. This is all been the fun part. How could this be any more fun? Yeah, let me just show you. Okay, we have 5 bolts in the back here. They are T60 Torx bit. Okay, now I tried putting some penetrating fluid on there. I use my Milwaukee. This is one of the top of the line Milwaukees as far as they go. This is the 2767-20. This is the one with the most torque. And I could not break them with that. As a matter of fact, I started to heat the impact up, and I was worried I was going to break it. So I was having to try to come up with an idea, and I've put plenty of penetrating fluid on there. It didn't work. As a matter of fact, when I got them finally off and broke them, I could hear a suction sound as they were sucking the penetrating fluid down into them. So it's not going to get the penetrating fluid in there no matter how long you let it sit. You can't hardly use an impact. So I tried to come up with an idea, and what I did is I put this tire and wheel like this, and then I ran it over with my service truck tire a little bit just to hold it down. So that gives us a good working platform. And then we're going to use a cheater bar and a breaker bar with the Torx bit on there. I mean, it's an absolute pain in the ass. And I've even got a torch that we're going to use to kind of heat them up, right before we pull them off. I will spray some penetrating fluid on it, maybe help it out or something, who knows. But anyway, we're going to get to it. PB blaster. I heated them up before too. Anybody wants to say, well, you should have heated it up before you tried to impact it off. I'm sure if I get a big enough impact, I could have made it work. The problem is you know, I'm worried about that Torx bit. Those things aren't very strong, and the last thing I want to do is break one of them. So I'm going to try to heat up 2 at a time. Well, I will say this is a lot easier than the other side. I think this one's been changed more recently. But depending on your location and how close you are to the salt belt and the last time this has been done, I can tell this is depending on a lot of factors. I'm just heating right on the bolt itself and then kind of on the sides a little bit. Before, when I tried to heat this up, I actually heated from the side of the hub. I was trying everything to break it loose. This just seems to work fairly well. I don't even want to attempt it without heating it. I probably could on this one because it's not so bad. But last thing I want to do is break one of these. Let's see if this thing is hot and scalds me. Yeah, not too bad. Okay. Next pain in the butt is trying to get this seal out. I think this is going to be easier than the other side because it's already wiggling. My other side wasn't wiggling at all. As a matter of fact, it was kind of pain to get out. I've tried pry bars. I'll tell you what, let's just try the pry bar. So we can't say, hey, you didn't try the pry bar. Well, I guess it would help if I had the pry bar. Yeah. Pry bars are somewhere else. We'll deal with that later. Oh yeah, a lot easier than the last one. Oh my God, so much easier. You can tell somebody's done something with this. All right, so I got some trash on here. I want to get that off. I'm going to use some carb cleaner. I should be using brake cleaner. But I've got like 2 cases of this stuff. And usually, if it was a regular bearing for a trailer or something like that, and not a bearing that gets gear oil in it, then I went and cleaned it out like this. But like I said, there's trash in there and I want it out. Looks good. The race looks good. But this is going to get gear oil all inside of it, so anything that I do is going to wash it, out later. I'm going to change the gear oil out later as well, because it's old, but I want it to kind of get in this stuff. I'm actually going to put grease in these bearings before I put them back. The big thing is that once you put oil in this rear end, it only gets to the sides as you get one direction or the other. It will okay, so my phone overheated, so I lost the last part of the video here. So basically what I did is I started putting it back together. I got that gasket out of the back here, the axle gasket, and then I went ahead and put some grease on the bearing. Reason being is because these are gear oil baths, and you're not going to get any gear oil to it until you kind of lean the truck in that direction, the axle in that direction. I have heard of people, leaning them purposely to get that gear oil down in there, but we're not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and put this, grease in here, and I'm going to just top off the gear oil. I'm going to change the gear oil in a couple 100 miles after I get it hot. I just wanted to make sure that I have something, when I initially start moving around, so I'm not worried about that grease. I'll heat it up. The gear oil is going to get in there, and like I said, we'll flush it that rear end and then put some fresh new in there, we should be good. All right. After I did that, those bearings, I got the other one done too, and it's ready to go in when I get this hub on. I went ahead and used a bearing driver to seat this gasket in here. And I will say it is definitely a good idea to have one. You do not want to just try to use a piece of wood. I've used a piece of wood in the past, and I just don't need junk to get down inside there. And I'll leave a link to the Icon one I got from Harbor Freight. And it's not the exact right size, but you can use the flat side of it, and it'll make it easy to seat, and it's nice and safe. All right, then I did the tone ring. Well, actually, next came the rotor, and I got the 5 T60 Torx bolts in there. I went ahead and just ugga-dugged it down on with the impact. I don't remember what the torque specification is, and honestly, as tough as it was to break, I really can only assume that the torque spec is so much that Superman can't rip the thing off. So I ugga-dugga those down, and if you need to know how many ugga-duggas, all of them, because that's how many you need to put on it. The next thing was this tone ring, and I went ahead and used this rubber mallet because we don't want to mess it up and mar up that tone ring, or else we're going to start getting fault codes. So I went ahead and knocked down on here, hit it down, and you can see that it's properly seated in here. And there's a little nub right here that stops it from going down any further and shows you that you're seated. So that's properly seated as well. All right, now we need to go ahead and put it back on.